Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. This is your first preview of the 2022 FIFA World Cup taking place in Qatar, and the hosts Qatar are exactly who are involved in this match preview, the first between Qatar and Ecuador as we gear up to the start of this tournament. Now this entire tournament has been, I want to say, overshadowed primarily from this country, the English press, the English media. Yes, there's controversy around the tournament, FIFA, corruption, all sorts of issues, right? When I'm looking at all the other countries, there's not much really coming out of them now at this stage, except for let's get on with the football. Let's get on with the football. Let's see how this is going to turn out. Let's give it a shot. And at the end, we can analyse everything. Whereas this country here in England, it's just constant. There's no focus on the football. None. Except for the England team. And even with the England team, I'm not really seeing much buzz or much effort put into how to preview England or what England are going to do this tournament. I don't think the confidence is very high. But for the whole tournament, the focus from here are on multiple various other issues instead of the football. So I want everyone's attention to now please go to the football. Can we focus on how this tournament is actually going to go? Who's going to play well? Who's not going to play well? What our expectations are? How do we think it's going to turn out? And then we'll go from there. First game is the hosts, Qatar. First ever appearance at a World Cup. So it's a big deal for them. And Ecuador are going to be up against them in that first game taking place tomorrow. Now, the preview for this is dropping today. I will drop the preview for the next three games on Monday, tomorrow. So those three games will be England-Iran at 1 p.m. UK time, Senegal versus Netherlands at 4 p.m, and the USA versus Wales at 7 p.m. The preview for those three games, especially England, the focus will be England, but I will preview everything else in that video, will be out tomorrow. And the review for this game, Qatar versus Ecuador, will be out tomorrow after the game. So make sure you guys are here, subscribed for that double upload coming tomorrow, and double uploads from tomorrow onwards up until the end of the tournament, or when double uploads are no longer required. Anyway, Qatar versus Ecuador. As I've said, the focus has been away from the football. But now we're looking at the football, and we're looking at what can Qatar, yes, a host nation, first appearance at a World Cup, but what can they offer? Are they good enough? I'm seeing a lot of people completely write Qatar off, right? And personally, I've seen Qatar play. And, well, I mean, I've seen them not personally in the flesh, but I've seen them play. How? Because many of the players that we're going to see tomorrow play for Qatar are the very same ones that played not so long ago in the first ever FIFA Arab Cup. And if you don't remember, Qatar got to the they got to the final or the semi-final. Anyway, Algeria played against them. Algeria won. So that's how I know him. But many of those players actually gave a very, very, very good fight. The fact that they're at home, there's two factors that's going to help them. The supporters and the weather. Qatar and the squad that they have are the only squad at the World Cup that have entirely domestic-based players. Every single other country have players that play out of that specific country. For example, even England, we have a lot of players that play in the Premier League, but we have players like Bellingham, who plays in Germany, right? Qatar are the only country showing up at this World Cup where everyone plays in that country. The entire squad play in Qatar. Now, Qatar kind of done it in reverse. Normally, other teams would look at players that are of nationality that play elsewhere and to try and bring them over. In Qatar, they've tried to bring many people over to Qatar, give them the nationality, you play here, and we're going to allow you to play for our country. It's kind of done it in reverse, and it's worked to an extent because they've had all sorts of talent now playing in Qatar's league, and now their national team are starting to reap some of the benefits of that. Their manager, Felix Sanchez, is ex-Barcelona. He has come from Barcelona, I believe from the Barcelona youth setup as a coach. And he went over and has been in Qatar for about 16 years. So he is the manager of Qatar, and he's setting Qatar up in a very good way. Qatar, I can only say, based on the circumstances that they are in, I think, especially that first game, it's not going to be easy to beat them. Do I see them going... Or do I see them getting better throughout the tournament in the rest of the other group games? Probably not. But Ecuador, when you look at that group, are probably the team that Qatar can look at and go, we have a chance. We have a chance. If we're looking at Qatar's recent form and Ecuador's recent form, we'll get to Ecuador in a sec as well, because I know more people are familiar with Ecuador. I want to give you guys some sort of a background to Qatar so you understand who they're facing. But if we're looking at their form, Qatar going from March beat Bulgaria 2-1, beat Slovenia 0-0. Drew 0-0 against Lazio, so there was a friendly against Lazio, that's funny. They played against Morocco A, so the locals of Morocco, drew 2-2. They beat Ghana A, 2-1. They drew 1-1 against Jamaica. They lost 3-0 to Croatia under 23s. They lost 2-0 to Canada, not a battering, and they drew 2-2 to Chile, and that was their final preparation game leading up to the Ecuador game. Ecuador, when you look in retrospect, they beat Chile 2-0. In November 21, 1-1 against El Salvador, 1-1 against Brazil, 1-1 against Peru, lost 3-1 to Paraguay, 1-1 against Argentina, beat Nigeria 1-0, drew 0-0 to Mexico, beat Cape Verde 1-0, drew 0-0 to Saudi Arabia, drew 0-0 to Japan, drew 0-0 to Iraq. So when you look at the preparation leading up to this fixture, Ecuador preparing for Qatar played against Iraq, drew 0-0, and Qatar preparing for Ecuador played Chile and drew 2-2. The Chile game is more impressive than the Iraq game, let's be honest. So Qatar cannot be underestimated. It cannot. Now, this game has been overshadowed because of a controversy. And I have to throw this out there because I don't know if this is true or if this is false. It could be completely false, but it might have some legit base to it. Who knows? There was a report that's come out a couple of days ago, and it's been reaffirmed yesterday by someone who I believe is an Arab-based journalist here in England, right? Amjad Taha, who says, exclusive, Qatar bribed 8 Ecuadorian players $7.4 million to lose the opener 1-0 with a second half goal. 5 Qatari and Ecuador insiders confirmed this. We hope it's false. That's where it leads me to think, is this even true? How can you say they've confirmed it but now say I hope it's false? Unless they're all lying, which is a little bit weird. We hope sharing this will affect the outcome. The world should oppose FIFA corruption. That's what's come out of that. I'm inclined to give this fixture a complete chance. And to be honest, look, bribery. Would they actually bribe Ecuador for a result? 7.4 million. I mean, they have unlimited money, but still, I'm not inclined to believe this without pure evidence and facts. I need to see facts. I need to see proper evidence of this before starting to spout any sort of accusations at Qatar here. They've had many things thrown at them in the build-up to this tournament. I honestly think we just need to give the football a chance. Tomorrow we will get our answer. If we get a Qatari second half goal, Ecuador don't come out of their goal, right, and it finishes 1-0, then we can maybe start talking about this. But apart from that, leave it on the back burner. And I just want to mention that just for that point. Leave it on the back burner. It's not worth it. Qatar, as I've said, have many players that come from Qatar, that play in the Qatari league. And on the back of that, there are some players in that team. For example, Karim Boudiaf, who is Moroccan-Algerian originally, born in France, plays for Qatar. That is an example. If we're looking at, I believe they have a Montari, Mohamed Montari. I think originally he is African, Ghanaian, if I'm not mistaken. But they have many Qatari-based players, many Arabs that play in Qatar, that were born in Qatar. Namely, Hassan, 120 caps, 29 years old. Boudiaf, as I've already mentioned, 108 caps. Al Haydos, 160 caps. And we know up front, they've got Akram Afif, who is, I would say, a bit of a danger man, as well as Al Haydos, who is their midfielder. But Aliadine and Almoaz Ali is the guy that I think they're going to rely on up front in terms of trying to get as many goals as possible. So, bearing that in mind, Ecuador, in terms of some of their players, now they're a little bit more established, right? They've got players that play everywhere. We know Estupinan, who plays for Brighton. We know there's Hincampe, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen. There is Caicedo, Brighton, who has been absolutely immense in the Premier League. Chelsea have been linked because we're now linked with everyone from Brighton, but top midfielder. And that's going to help Ecuador a lot. Having a talent like Caicedo in that team is going to be a big, big benefit for them. Another Brighton player, Sarmiento. A lot of Brighton lads in this Ecuador team. But they've got other players that play in France, that play in Spain. Plata plays for Real Valladolid. And a couple of other lads that I think are going to do well. Their standout key man, though, is Enner Valencia, Fenerbahce. 74 caps. And when you look at this game and you think of it at face value, you would normally think Ecuador will win. On paper, I would predict Ecuador to beat Qatar 2-0. But, as I've said, I've seen Qatar play, even recently. And I think they are quite, especially in this climate, like the Arab Cup took place in Qatar. If you notice with the climate and the way that they deal with themselves there, they are able to power through any sort of heat. They are able to power through 90 minutes physically. They're in good physical condition. Technically, they lack a little bit, I would say. But they are brave. They take risks. And they are defensively solid. I think Ecuador, if they're not on it, are going to find a hard time getting through that Qatari defense. Right? Because Qatari, as I've already mentioned, are, I would say, a decently solid team when it comes to defensively. Ecuador should have enough talent to get through. But I've just got a weird feeling that on the opener, first game at a World Cup, the occasion, the fans, the climate, normally you'd look at Ecuador as a South American team and you'd think they'd be able to deal with the heat as well. But a lot of them play abroad. You know, if I'm looking at Ecuador and their players, I'm not sure there's actually any Ecuadorian-based players except for their their 3 goalkeepers are Ecuadorian based. A couple of other lads like Felix Torres based in Mexico, Preciado based in Mexico, Angel Mena based in Mexico, a couple of other lads based in Mexico. Everyone else, Kevin Rodriguez based in Ecuador as well. But everyone else, Premier League, France, Belgium, Spain. Qatar have an entire team based there, already used to everything. With the fans, the atmosphere, the fact that it's their first game, energy is high, ready to go all out. Do not be surprised at a probable draw, a Qatari win. Realistically on paper, I think we can all agree Ecuador should be winning. But my gut is telling me something's going to happen. That's me. I am going to predict Qatar 1, Ecuador 1. That's my prediction. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comment section below. But that is how I think it's going to go down. Don't underestimate this Qatari team at the beginning. I think eventually the quality is going to show in terms of it not really being there. And I do expect Qatar to finish bottom of the group. But for this opener, I think they're going to have a good display. I don't think they're going to win, although do not be surprised. But I've got a feeling they're not going to lose. So I am going Qatar 1, Ecuador 1. And Ecuador, maybe a little bit of a slow start. 2 other teams in the group are very difficult as far as I'm concerned. I've already mentioned, I think second place is going to be battled between Ecuador and Senegal. But I reckon on this occasion, first game, 1-1. Let me know down below how you see it going. And I will see you tomorrow for the preview to the Netherlands-Senegal game, England-Iran, USA-Wales. And at the end, after the game, Qatar-Ecuador, I will be dropping a match review for you guys. And then after that, as we go day by day, I will give you the review of all the games that day, including the one for England that I think I will have to do separately just because it's England. But anyway, you know what to get. There's previews, reviews coming every single day now. Make sure you guys are here for it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Smash like button if you've enjoyed this. Let's get this World Cup on the road. Let's get this bad boy started. Come on. Enjoy, have fun, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. In a bit, people. Take care and peace.